Hey everyone, CPO here, and in this video I'm going to be going over the paper by Quirklogic. It's a e-ink writer. It's not the only e-ink writer I've been playing with. I have the Remarkable one here, and I also have the Books Note Air. I've been trying to figure out which one is the one that I want to keep and use day to day. The Books Note Air is immediately one that I knew wasn't for me. It's not the purpose of this video. It's to talk about my notes with the paper. So what I have done is just over the course of the last few days, I've jotted down some notes. I was just gonna sit down with you as I finish off an Angry Orchard hard cider and in no particular order tell you the things I think about this device. Now these are my notes about things that matter to me, and they may not matter to you. The things that I point out might not matter to you at all. In fact, I'm not even sure I'm the target audience for this device. So I'll say right now, Quirklogic has marketed this as a collaborative device, and I'm not really interested in collaboration. As a matter of fact, I'm interested in the opposite. I want complete offline notepad, electronic notepad that replaces my paper notepad. So I don't want to share, I don't want to collaborate. What I want is unlimited pieces of paper that I can manipulate the way I want and maybe do some reading. So that's where I'm at with this. You can see this list. This is the first half of the list. Here's the second half of the list. You can pause the video, read those, stop now. It's probably going to be a long video because I'm just going to talk about these things sort of ad hoc. I will say this is not a comprehensive review by any means. If you want that, there's a couple of YouTube channels I can recommend for you, and I'll just show you right now. Goodreader has a good review. They also sell, I believe, these tablets, so theirs is always going to be a little bit biased towards selling products, in my opinion. There is My Deep Guide, which has a very in-depth review, very deep as the name would suggest, review of this product. Voya does a great job, and I love watching his reviews of these. And then the other one I tend to like is Morning Coach. He's been doing reviews of these products as well. So go check these guys out. There are others out there, but these are the three main ones that I sort of spend time watching videos on as I make buying decisions. So they're going to cover a lot of things about this that I may not cover, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew where you can get more information should you want to. Sit down, buckle up, it's going to be a ride. So let's start. Number one, definite pen latency. And I know a lot of people say that that doesn't bother them, and it doesn't necessarily bother me. It's just there. And I notice it a lot more, especially after using the Remarkable for quite a while, which has one of the best latencies, and even the more Remarkable 2 has even better. It's there. It's noticeable to me. It is what it is. It's kind of a downside. It is sort of annoying, especially if you've experienced something better. By the way, I put down arrows for things I consider downsides, up arrows for things I consider upsides, little slashes for things that, that doesn't really matter to me. You can see clearly, like, spoiler alert, there's a lot more downs than ups for me. And that's surprising because I really wanted to like this device. It was expensive. Like, I'm not going to lie. It was super expensive. More expensive than any of the other devices I bought. So I had a lot of hopes for it, but anyway, doesn't write at the tip when angled. This is something that really sort of may or may not matter, right? It's like all of this stuff. It may or may not matter to you, but let me show you. So if I hold the tablet up for the camera to see, right? So if I hold the pen at, say, a 45-degree angle, which is a fairly natural writing position for me, and I draw, see how it's a little bit below that line? And the reason is the further angled you have it, It's hard to do this through the camera. See how it writes from the middle of the nib and not the tip? If I write upright, it's going to hit the tip of the nib. But I found when I was writing, I was like, why does it feel so inaccurate? And it's not writing at the tip, it's writing, I don't know, at the middle of the nib. So I'm basically drawing right on the lines as I see it. But obviously that's looking a little different. If I hold the pen upright, it works normally. So again, that may not matter to you. Something I noticed, precision-wise, when I was looking at drawing, I'm like, it just feels weird that it's not putting a line in the place where I expect the pen tip to be. And, just from comparison purposes, this is the Remarkable, like, same sort of a thing. I'm going to angle the pen, but see, it still writes at the tip. So I notice the difference when it doesn't. So again, may not matter to you, but I'm telling you about it. Pen nib is loose. Again, actually I can just show you right here. When I go to press on the paper, there's like a little bit, like the nib falls back, pushes back inside the body of the pen just a little bit. I mean, it's not a lot. Can you hear that? That's the nib. So I don't like it. It feels like a really sloppy ballpoint pen, whereas the other nibs I've experienced have pretty solid feels to them. This one, like, is just a little bit loose in there. So the eraser doesn't sometimes actually work, and this happens to me a lot, and I'm not sure why, but for this pen, if you push the bottom button, it activates the eraser. So in theory, I could write my name and then use this eraser and erase my name. But as you can see, it's not erasing. But now it did, finally. So it's hit or miss. So I don't understand if it's just me, if it's the pen. Maybe I have a bad one. But the eraser function just sometimes doesn't work. Like, I can't always count on it to erase. And then sometimes, like you just saw, it erased just fine. So I'm not sure what's up with that. You can only erase strokes. There's no precision erasing. So what I mean by that is, let's say I was going to do a drawing and I want to draw a car. And then I decide I don't like the way that looks. So I can't just erase this little section. It erases that entire stroke. Now, let me go back here, undo that. There's a workaround for this, and that is to change your ink color to white. And that essentially will overwrite. Come on, pick it. There we go. It will overwrite the black line with a white line. And that's a way. But as you can see, it also covers up my template back there because it's actually white on top of everything else. That doesn't actually erase anything. Again, if I try and erase, say, this section here, if it will erase. Come on, work, eraser. Oh my gosh. There it goes. It still erases the entire stroke. So that is what it is. Let me, what do I have selected? I don't know, but I need to undo. So yeah. Oh, I got to change my color back to black. So for precision erasing, you could technically make white, but there's not a way to just like, I want to erase the front part of this. It erases the entire thing. That's kind of annoying to me. I can do that with other writers. There are very few ink options, and that may or may not be a big deal to you. I don't know how much it matters to me. Once I settle on an ink for writing, like I think this is level 3. That's fine with me. I do like the idea to have markers or different types of strokes like calligraphy and whatever, but if you just need a writer, a regular ink pen, there's no pencil, there's no shading, there's none of that stuff. It's pretty basic. That may or may not matter to you. Very loud and scratchy writing surface. So I know a lot of people want this feature, and that is this like scratchy, this is the sound of writing on paper. And it is kind of like writing on paper, but I have to ask myself, like if I showed up at a conference table in a meeting and started writing notes, would that be distracting? Like would people go, what the heck is going on over there? And I think so. It's very noisy. In contrast, just to show you the remarkable, and this isn't a remarkable versus paper comparison necessarily, but I mean, it still has a little bit of that sort of sound, that paper sound, but this is very scratchy. I don't know. It just, maybe they're the same. Maybe I'm being too picky. But I think it's obnoxiously loud. I could be wrong. And it's very coarse. It feels like writing on paper. So if you're going for that, they sort of nailed that. They only have 2 templates. So if I go back here, I'm using the same template for this whole workbook. I can change templates, and I have 2 choices here. I have this grid boxes, and then I have lined. And then I can say apply it to the current page or the entire workbook. We'll just do the current page. And you can see now I have lined. The problem is I don't necessarily like lined or grid. I like the dots. And they don't really have that option. I can import something as a background, but I can only get it from Google Drive and Dropbox. Even if I have it locally stored, I can't get to it without going to the network. For example, come on. Now that button doesn't work. I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me go this way. I have in my library manager, I have a template that I imported, which was for testing. And this is a dot. This is what I like. I like the dot because I can have some precision. I can make easy checkboxes I want. I can identify lines if I want, or I can just stay in the lines. And the dots don't really sort of take up much vision. But if I want to add this template into another document and use it as a template, as far as I can tell, the only way to do that, I don't know why this button isn't working. That's supposed to do something, take me back home. That's a home button. It's not working right now. That's weird. Yeah, so I go back to my notes. I don't really have a way to input that as a template. And if you do, it only does it for that page. Following pages won't have it. So it's not a true template. It just imports it as a background image. So yeah, that's sort of where we're at with that. I prefer, at least out of this, the options I have are the gridded template. So not a lot of options there. No layers, template in the background, I sort of covered that. Cannot move from cloud to local or vice versa. So I'm going to change this. This is sort of a double, actually, to be fair. It's more of a dash, right? Because it sort of balances out. This may or may not matter to you. Right now, One of the things I liked about this tablet is the fact that you have the concept of cloud storage or local storage. If I want to sign in, I point my phone with the app, and it will read the barcode and then let me sign in. I'm not going to do that right now. I don't want to log into the cloud, but there are two options. Like I said, local and then your cloud-based storage. The two are completely separate. Like, you can't transfer documents from one to the other. You can copy documents, but you have to rename them each time, which means you can only copy them one at a time, and you have to give them names. You can't just move, copy the files over. So that could be a positive, right? The fact that they're separated, that's one of the things I liked about it. Is like, I can have local documents that I'm working on that are not going to the cloud, and there's no way they can even be seen by the cloud. And I can have cloud documents. I should be able to move cloud documents locally. I get that you don't want to be able to move local documents to the cloud, but backwards should work, at least easier than it does. And there's really no way to import local documents. So if I want to offload everything off my other tablets in the form of PDFs and bring them into my local storage, right now there's not a way to do that except through the cloud, and then this manual one at a time copy process. So they do tell me there's a firmware update coming that will allow USB file transfer, so that might actually help that a lot. Can't import longer files. I have a PDF magazine. Actually, it's right here on the Remarkable. It's a mountain bike magazine. I have it. It's kind of nice. I was able to read through this magazine. It's not a huge magazine, but I can read it on here. I tried to import it into the paper, and it just fails. It actually shows up as a magazine, the PDF and all that stuff. Basically, magazine PDF.QLW, which is the proprietary format for Quirklogic, but it's a blank. It never really imported, so it doesn't help me. So I think that's a larger file problem. I talked about setting templates from Dropbox or Drive, but not local storage. Setting custom templates per page, I talked about that. Shapes, very clunky and nearly impossible to integrate with text. There's no stretching, there's only scaling. So I can't resize. So let's say I wanted to put a box. What do I have selected? I have something selected somewhere. So here's another gripe, right? Because it's finger based, I can easily select things, and I often accidentally select stuff. And the reason I know that is when I long press, I get a different menu option based on the selection, as opposed to when nothing's selected, like now, I get the full context menu. So if you see me redoing that, that's because somewhere I accidentally put my hand down and made a selection. So I'm really bad about that. That's probably me. But if I want to draw a box, and I like the idea of being able to draw shapes and boxes and arrows. If I want to draw a box around this text here, you would think you'd be able to select that rectangle box, which even though I selected down here, it pops up here. I can two-finger drag this down, and then I should be able to make it into a shape that will go around that text. You can't. It only scales. Actually, it doesn't even look like the picture I selected. It has a different aspect ratio than the picture. And there's no way, if I wanted to just put a box around 20 and 21, there's no way that I can find to do that. Let me go back. And every movement, you can see, if I go back, was something now registered in the history. So now I can't even easily delete the box because I tried to use it and it just put all of these history items. So if I erase, can I erase it? My eraser there we go. So I can erase it. But again, it doesn't matter where I click on the screen, I'm going to get a shape up here. And then I have to move that shape to where I want it, and then I have no control over anything other than scaling. So unless you want perfect circles, perfect squares, you're really sort of out of luck. And then look how easy that one erased. So I'm back to, you know, old school, like this is how I would draw a box around that. Or, you know, perhaps doing it correctly, I would, you know, grab a ruler and do that. But yeah, so shapes are there. I just think that they're not useful for a lot of things. Like if I was going to start with a blank page and build an org chart, for example, that might work, right? If I have nothing else there and I want to use, look, that shape, that's like a, what, a 3x2x5 shape, maybe? That is not 2x5 shape. That is a different. But if I want to use that particular box and I want to make, you know, something, which I don't have a lot of control over tilt. It's not very precise. I'm trying to tilt it. Come on. I just want it straight. Just make it straight. There we go. That's a little crooked, but anyway, you get the point. If I just wanted to do that stuff, you know, then that might work okay, but yeah, not ideal. So, boom, let's get rid of that. All right. I told you. This is going to be a video. Overall size is good. Okay, so that is something I do have. Finally something in the positive side. Oh, great, my battery level of my pen is low. Maybe that's what's going on. Although I will say, I charged this for like hours earlier, like Friday. So 3 days ago and 2 days ago. And so if my pen ink or my pen battery's low, that's a problem. Also a problem, right? The pen takes a battery. Anyway, size is good. It's like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Plenty of places to write, particularly if you want to do split screen, and which I'll talk about here in the future. But as you can see, physical dimensions, it's not a lot larger than the Remarkable, but the screen size is fairly significantly larger. If I match screen size to screen size, we're right about there. You get all this extra screen real estate. So I do like that. I will say that that is a positive. You have infinite canvas. So clunky for printing. Like if I wanted to save this as a PDF, right? I'm going to want to flip pages to get to different sections, and I think that that's the way to go. But if you want to do a mind map or something, and or an org chart or a network diagram or whatever, you can do a box here, you can bring this over here, you can run this way, and if you need more room, you just can drag over and keep going. It's infinite in where you can go, and to the point that I can also like zoom way down. Well, that's too much. Obviously my template is becoming a problem, right? Because the smaller I make it, the template is so overbearing. When I make it small like this, the squares basically take over. So then what I would want to do is clear the template so I can actually see what I'm working on. All right, so we're back to this. So yeah, it's infinite. Or I can go back to that original one, or go back. That's kind of cool. Problem is, if I wanted to print this, it's going to print the entire thing like on a 8.5 by 11 size page, I believe. So that could be a pain in the butt. But it is cool. Often misses first stroke. Seen this a few times, particularly if I switch a page and write fast. That did it. That did it. That did it. Let me see if I turn the power off, put it in sleep, put it back on. That did it. So far it's catching the first stroke. Sometimes, like the very first stroke I write, it misses. Looks like it's keeping up with me right now. So that's good. Not precise in selection, finger versus stylus. One of the things I really like about the Remarkable is the ability to select with the stylus. I can't do that with this. I have to select with my finger. So if I were to select, if I were to call out like line 1 and pull it out of there, it's harder for me to select just line 1. As a matter of fact, I can't seem to do it. I'll try and zoom out a little bit. Now that's too much. Now I've accidentally selected that and resized it. So now I've selected that. Like, how do I get out of this? Let me long press. See, now that's messed up. So I've got to... These things are just these quirky things, and no pun intended, Quirklogic. They're quirky and they make it difficult for me. This is my experience. Trying to select that. See, I can't do it without selecting everything else. Versus being able to use the stylus to select where I can have a little bit more precision. You can feel the internals through the screen. That's just weird to me. It doesn't really matter. I have it as a neutral, but the screen top is so thin, you can feel the components underneath. And because it's a lot of finger action, you know, it's a finger selecting and finger dragging, I feel that often. It doesn't impact writing at all. I don't even know why I put it in there. No pressure sensitivity. See, look, I accidentally selected all that stuff. And I don't know, like, I'm trying to get out of it now. There you go. So no pressure sensitivity. I mean, it is what it is, just not on this device. It does have Chrome, and that was surprising to me. I was thinking that I would want to actually use it. It's interesting because I want to use the home button, but the home button isn't working. Let me shut it down. Turn it back on. See if I get the home button back. I've had this for 2 days. 3 days. This is my 3rd day. See, that Q, that looks like something I would be able to do with like a marker pen selection. And this, like, there's not a choice in this device to be able to draw that thing. Let's see. Okay, now it works. So I do have Chrome in here. And I thought Chrome was going to be really cool. It turns out it's completely unusable. The contrast is really horrible. It's slow as all get out. Like, I wouldn't use this for browsing. I would much rather just use my phone. But what I thought is, if I want to get a graphic that I can then like use as a template, copy and paste or trace or input it in, like I can try and save the image, like download image, and it just crashes. Unfortunately, Chrome has stopped. It crashes Chrome, but I don't know where I would get it if it downloaded it anyway. I don't have a way to copy text or copy images or anything. It's literally completely separate as far as I can tell. So unless I'm doing something wrong, I don't know where Chrome adds any value. Turn to workbook. All right, we're at the final stretch here. Can't download images, content. Talked about that. The plus side is Dropbox and Google Drive integration. It's nice. I could have PDFs or images or whatever. I can add them in, import them in. So that's how you would do that. You can't do it through the internet that I can find. Contrast on the device is good overall, except in the browser. Sometimes you can't start after awake from sleeping due to network alerts. Now, I'm not actually connected to the network right now, but I have had the issue where I pull it out of sleep, and then I start to write, and then my pen stops working, and I get a pop-up notification that tells me there was a network interruption, and it's reconnecting. and I cannot draw until that is resolved, and then I can go back to using my pen. So here's another thing. I often, like, look how this is messed up right now. Like, I don't even know how to explain what that is. You can see here, like, everything's all borked up. All I am doing is in front of you writing. So I'm hitting my palm and it's taking it as a selection, and you know, I'm not sure. Let me see if it clears. Yeah, that cleared it out. And then I've got this stuff to get rid of. So for big selections, finger selection works great. It's just the smaller stuff that it's not so great at. Sometimes my touches accidentally select. That's happened this entire video. Separate cloud, local storage. I already talked about that. I think that's a positive thing. I just wish we could get to the point where we can easily move or back up the local storage. No backlight. I don't really care. If there was a backlight on this, I would use it. I do not have a backlight on this guy. It doesn't matter to me. This does have a backlight. It's kind of cool, but it's not what makes the device for me. So yeah, take it or leave it. It just doesn't have it. Just need to know that. So that's a net neutral. Zoom is challenging, i.e. precision. Like, yeah, you've already seen that. It's tough. There's not a way to get a precision zoom level, but what I did find, obviously, is if I double tap with 2 fingers, it takes me back to 100%. That saved me a lot of effort, and it should take me... There we go. Huh. Yeah, there we go. So it's 2-finger tap, 100%, 2-finger tap back to the previous zoom level, which, there we go, 550 is where I had it. I mean, it works, but because touch is also enabled, the tapping and the touching, I'd select things accidentally. Yeah. Customer service. That is the 3 up arrows. Like, that is the most valuable thing of this device. Is right now it's a young product from an established company, but their customer service has been top notch. Like, I've sent them a couple of emails with questions and they've replied within a few days. It's been great. I know a lot of other companies, not going to name names, have had some struggles with customer service in the community, but these guys, Quirklogic, have been on top of things, so I like that. Down for me is a closed file system. It's an Android-based file system, but I don't have access to it. I can't do anything with it. Like, if I downloaded a Chrome file, I don't know where to find that. Actually, let me try one more thing. Is there a place to go to downloads? There is. So here's downloads I have. What can I do? Can I share? Share via nothing. I don't have any options. So I can download them into the file system that I don't have access to and can't get anything out of. So yeah, I'm back to I don't understand the utility in that. If I wanted to just look something up, honestly, let me grab my phone. All imports are proprietary format. This is a positive and a negative. The positive is it takes a PDF file, and if I import it in, it turns it into this QLW file, which is their Quirklogic proprietary format, which means the PDF then just becomes a background image, and you can write over it and manipulate it. You can't change the original data. It's kind of like a template, but it also means I can add pages in between. So if I had a PDF document and I wanted to write a page of notes in between 2 pages of the PDF, easy to do here. That's kind of cool. Downside is it doesn't always work. Some of the documents, like the magazine, just didn't never import. I don't know if it's a size thing or what, but it's a little bit clunky and it takes a long time, and you have to do it one at a time. You can't import in bulk. Trust me, I tried. Right now it's like 1 file at a time, recreating folders, all that stuff. You can do exports to Google Drive and Dropbox. That's sort of a neutral to me. You can email yourself. Have to name a workbook before creating. So one of the things I wanted is the ability to quickly throw up a document, a workbook, and then be able to just make some notes, right? And so you can do that from there. Now let me get back to my library. That was from my home screen. However, if you're in the library manager and you say new workbook, you have to enter in a file name. Like you can't proceed without entering in a file name. So if you're in a hurry and you create a file and then you open it so that you can make some quick notes, see there, it missed the beginning of that stroke. That happens to me a lot. Maybe I'm just too quick. And now I want to rename it. I'll go back to my library and I'll pick that file. Now recent local and local, the difference is it shows you the same stuff really for me, because not very many of them I have in here. I guess I have a few more. But you can't edit in the recent, so you have to select your library. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this to what I really want to call it. Rename. And I can't. The workbook is currently open, so I have to close it. So which means the only way I can figure out how to close it is to open up another workbook. So then I can then go back to the library. So then I can then go into local and then go in and rename it. Now keeping in mind, you can use, I keep saying local, there is cloud-based storage where most people are going to use it and have their stuff stored in the cloud. I just don't want my stuff stored in the cloud. I'm going to call this trouble. I don't know why. Rename it. I'm good to go there. So remember, from the library manager here, if you create a new workbook, you have to name it before you can continue. It's a little bit clunky, but if you start from here, the home screen, you can hit new workbook and instantly be in a new workbook. And it even names it, O2. I don't know why it doesn't do it from the other menu. It's just a little bit weird that there are different ways to do things and they're handled differently. All right, so back to my notes. We're almost done here, I promise. Slippery back. This might be a non-issue for most of you. It's a completely slippery back. I have this rubber pad, so it's not so bad, but if I put it on a desk, it just slides around super easy, as opposed to the Remarkable that's got a rubber back, like it's sticky. The Books, same thing. The Books has a very slippery back surface. I don't like that, but you know, when you put it in a case or a folio or something like that, it probably won't matter. Just know it is slippery. Pen options, there aren't very many of them. You're pretty much regulated to this pen that comes with the device or those similar. And yeah, you have to charge it, which apparently I need to charge it. But big double arrow up is split screen. It's the one thing that I was really looking forward to using. It is really cool. And that is the ability to open up two different workbooks side by side, and they can be very different things. So you can go to your library and open up something entirely different. What do I have here? Here's the welcome message. So if you want to open up a document and then take notes on the other side, or open up a calendar, a schedule, do meeting notes, planner, open up a spread, you can do that here. You can also swap them around, so if you want them on the other sides, and then at any point you can take something and just make it full screen. So I really like that. The size lends well to that. But yeah, everything else has to work well for me to make that worth doing. And you know, quite frankly, I had always wished the Remarkable could do that, but I don't know on a size this small if it's even worth it. So this larger format really works well for split screen. So those are my notes, guys. Like I said, it's more of a rant, randomly, stream of conscious like. There are things that I like and don't like. And as you can probably tell, I'm leaning towards not liking more than I like. But, you know, I've only had this thing for a few days. I'm hoping the next firmware update will make me happier. I'm just not sure if they can overcome the issues that I personally have with this device. Anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or want to ask anything specific to this device or have any comments. Go check out those other guys I mentioned. They do some really great reviews. This is my opinion on this device, and like I said, I am not the target audience. I like to work in an offline environment. I don't want to expose my stuff to the cloud. And yeah, so as a matter of fact, this whole video, I didn't even log in and use the cloud side. So that's a whole separate, everything is the same except your storage location is in the cloud or it's local, but you can't intermingle the two. So I've chosen to work on local. As a matter of fact, oh, this is something I totally forgot to point out. This drives me nuts. I don't even know why it's not on my list. I should add it to the list. If I want to go to my local library, right, and I like to view things. Let me show you my Remarkable here. Just for, what am I doing here? So here are my files in my Remarkable. This is the notebook I've been using. I have things sort of organized in a way. I don't need to see graphics, pages. I just want to see the list. And they're in order: archive, Bible, meetings, people, collections. Those are my folders. And then my workbooks that I use on a regular basis: future log, my year, my month, my week, my day, the key. I just have this magazine down because I was reading it. And then some stuff that I was testing around with. So that's what I want to see. I can do that here by choosing list view, which is great. And then I'll go, let's say I'll open up this document. This is my future log, which is a blank template of something that I was playing with. If I go back home, go back to my library, I'm right back in thumbnail view instead of list view. It does not retain list view for some reason. So I'm going to go back to my notes page. I'll go to it this way into my library, back into thumbnail view. I don't want thumbnail view, I want list view. So it should retain that for me. That's really annoying to me. I don't know why it's not on my list. It's little things like that that drive me batty. Those are easy to fix though in firmware updates. Anyway guys, that's it. I've been talking way too long. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.